Hey, hi, how are you? My name's Felt. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about a Dimir control deck that I've been playing, piloting, and having a lot of fun with. It's a little bit of a weird one. It's a little bit of everything has two copies instead of four, but I think it works really well. I think it's a little weird to have not four copies of some really powerful, like, quote-unquote staples, but sometimes you just need more answers. And control decks are in a really tough spot right now. Like, really tough spot. Because Grixis and Esper midrange are, like, dominating where they usually sat, and they just have so much value in them. And mono red, mono black aggro, as well as, like, mono white / Azoria soldiers are just, oh boy, they're also dominating the meta. So sometimes you just need to have more answers for everything. And that's kind of the point of this deck. Things to keep in mind about this deck. There's a minor domain synergy, so you really should have some of these tri-lands. Potentially drop more basics for more tri-lands if you think that the domain synergies are that important. Maybe run more copies of Drag to the Bottom if you're running into more boards that need wiping, so to speak. But keep in mind when you're piloting it that Hullbreaker Horror is your #1 win con. Your win con is survive to turn 8, slam Hullbreaker, untap, bounce and kill their board, swing for Hullbreaker for the next 3 turns, making them cry and hate Magic the Gathering. AKA classic Dimir control strategies, as well as old school Izzet control strategies. Another great addition, though, is Sphinx of the Clear Skies, relatively recent addition from Dominaria. Essentially gives you a factor fiction on hitting your opponent. If those of you who don't know what that means, your opponent looks at the top whatever of your library. In the case of Sphinx, it is top X, where X is the number of basic lands you control. And then they separate it into 2 piles. You get to take one. The other one goes to your graveyard. I don't believe original Factor Fiction did that, but the basic idea is there. It can be really good, great card advantage, and also it's a 5/5 flyer with Ward 2. That is a very evasive threat for a lot of decks to try and hit. Your powerful card advantage tools include Memory Deluge, Thirst for Discovery, Silver Scrutiny, Siphon, Insight, and Impulse. Counter spells are stuff like Syncopate, Make Disappear, and some sideboard additions. Removal spells are Hero's Downfall, Infernal Grasp, Cut Down, Drag to the Bottom, obviously, and then Parasitic Grasp. I decided to include this because there's a lot of humans in the meta at the moment, and Parasitic Grasp hits a lot of them. And while March of Wretched Sorrows is a little bit better for controlling your life, Parasitic Grasp is cheaper. And it always gains you 3 life upon hitting a target. And you don't need to target your opponent's creatures for that. Your opponent is playing mono red burn, they got you down to like 3 life. And they're board emptied because you got Hullbreaker on board. They cast Lightning Bolt. They're like, aha, I'm gonna win. You can Parasitic Grasp your own Hullbreaker and gain 3 life. Just something to keep in mind. Other powerful effects we have include Fading Hope. It's been a classic for a while here. People think it's kind of weak, but it's really strong in Hullbreaker Horror decks because you can bounce Hullbreaker without having to use its own effect to bounce it. Then you can use its effect to bounce something else of your opponent's. Then Rona's Vortex is another great piece of Planeswalker hate. We have 2 cards that do it. One is Hero's Downfall, the other is Rona's Vortex. Sometimes bouncing Planeswalkers is all you need to do to really slow down your opponent. Depending on the Planeswalkers. If you cast it for the 4-mana kicker, though, you actually put it at the bottom of their library. So if you think it's a one-off, and you think it's something that they really needed to win the game, kick it to the bottom of their library. This deck has a lot of good options on the sideboard. Creature-wise, Graveyard Trespasser is a good inclusion because it gets rid of those pesky recursive threats your opponent might have in their graveyard. However, on average, it's not as big of a deal. And Bloodvial Purveyor, that's a hard one to say, is also in here, but that's just in case. It's a pretty specific card, but it's really good in the Grixis counter matchup because Grixis will often run Bloodtithe Harvester? I believe that's the name of the card. I apologize. So they're going to be making their own blood tokens. Your Purveyor will start getting bigger if they keep doing that. Just something to keep in mind. We also have Go for the Throat here. Infernal Grasp is on the main board because I play a lot of Best of 1 lately. And Infernal Grasp seems to be more consistent in hitting artifact creatures. Because every once in a while someone will have like this random idea of, aha, I'll get around the Go for the Throat half of the meta by only running artifact creatures. Well, we run Infernal Grasp to deal with that. Hopefully you like the deck. Pay close attention to the mana base, though. Make sure you run your tri-lands if you want the most of these domain abilities. Otherwise, run your mana base as you see fit. As you can see, I'm even missing a Shipwreck Marsh, which would really help me out here. But regardless of all that, hope you liked the video, like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff, and let's hop right into the gameplay. We don't have black mana, but we don't have cards that need it. But if this is an aggro matchup, this doesn't work very well. Bouncing is a little slow for aggro matchups, so let's mulligan. Much better. Drop one of the drag to the bottoms. Unfortunately for my sanity. Play the swamp so we can play cut down on 1 and 2. Why did I say 1 and 2? Because that's going to have to be tapped. But yeah, see, drag to the bottom already has 3 of 5 pips there. Evolving Wilds? Well, that ain't normal. Is Drago? Then we have access to 2 hunts. 2 ways to find something. On the plus side, we do have double black for drag to the bottom. Esper. Flesh Gorger? Interesting. I think we just Impulse? Grab a land, maybe? Ah! I talked about this in the intro section. I can now Parasitic Grasp and kill it for quote-unquote free. We'll see what they play, though. Depending on what they play makes me want to play different things. It's the whole point of control decks, right? You answer what they play on average. I'm really confused by all the basics, though. Maybe they're just, like, a new player. Don't have many dual lands. What do I know? I'm using these boring swamps, and they have these cool ones. Yeah, that's what I thought it might be. So this is the Blink Esper deck. The one where you are blinking all of these things. Which makes me want to just kill it. Little dangerous. It does make our deck really suffer, because Hullbreaker Horror isn't really good into this. Simply because he has to pay, well... Yeah, this is absolutely the deck I thought it was. Alright, that's rough for us. Yeah, because fun fact, when you blink these things, they come back as their true. The true versions of them. What's theirs for discovery and hunt for a removal spell? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Rona's Vortex is good. It bounces them. It makes them replay stuff. Because that's... yeah, they got exiled, so they can't replay it with proxy. If they try and do anything fancy, I'll just bounce the Warplow. So fun fact, Arcane Proxy doesn't get to actually play a lot of stuff through getting returned anyways, but it gets to play even less stuff when you just kill it. Alright, now we have Hullbreaker Horror in hand. And we're in a pretty good spot. I was worried they might be playing a lot of Flesh Gorgers, because Flesh Gorgers is a pretty scary one. Weird. I don't know why they wouldn't just play it for full cost. I guess they just really like the whole, I can blink my creatures. Because, like... do we risk Hullbreaker here? I don't think we do. I think we Memory Deluge and Hunt for Answers. Yeah, it looks like they have something. I think we grab, like, Impulse and a land here, and then we Impulse for a 1-cost spell so we can protect Hullbreaker. Fading Hope is... Chef's Kiss, perfect. The reason it's perfect, by the way, is because it makes it so that I can either bounce their thing or bounce my thing. I probably could have played it on my turn, but I really like the draw go. It's a much smoother way to play the deck. From the looks of it, they probably have blink spells available. again. Ah, okay, so they're just gonna tap out hard for Steel Seraph? That's really bad for them. Because now we just get to bounce everything, and they have no open mana. Welcome to how Dimir control. Oh my god. I went full Porky Pig. I went full Porky Pig. But yeah, look at how Dimir control actually operates. Slow burn. Let them play out all their stuff. Really? That's your play? Maybe they have a kill spell in hand and they're like, aha, I'll get him. No? Alright, well, we just grab... draw and... oh, where you... we did it. Yeah, that type of deck is a really, really hard, fast combo deck. The whole point is to flicker the Flesh Gorgers, the Proxies, the Seraphs, and the Goring Warplows. Just really quickly flicker them, get really big bodies on board. Hullbreaker Horror super slows that down, and he just makes it almost impossible to play around. Welcome to Dimir control. My opponent barely gets to play. Alright, you go first. Tapped Xander's Lounge into 2 untapped lands with Aiding Hope, Make Disappear, and Siphon Insight? Is it my birthday? My thing, this is one of those times when it's like, I think if my opponent... talking is hard, I apologize. I think if my opponent was playing aggro, and I knew they were playing aggro, I would have, it looks like they're just playing Esper. Let's Siphon Insight and see what they're playing. I guess they're playing Esper? I'll take away their by invitation only, I guess. They're playing hard control Esper, like I'm playing hard control Dimir. But it's Angel. We make disappear that because we don't want them to get card draw, by the way. Not for any real reason. You also now just have this by invitation only sitting here, just vibing. We have 2 options here. That was weird. Okay, this sucks. I guess we grab Barona's Vortex and then a Swamp. I was hoping for a little more oomph to that, and 3 lands was not the oomph I was looking for. Let's just Siphon Insight, shall we? Mmm, spicy! I see you, dear opponent. You're a spicy boy. Cut your losses. Spicy Esper player. Caves of Koilos. Alright, this is actually getting really rough. We needed that extra mana here. Now my opponent is just getting to draw a go, which is really bad for me. Faithbound Judge, huh? Weird. Island. Sure! Why not? It's your own card! Why are you running away? It's just your own card, sir. Sir. Madam. Non-binary person, please. It's just your own card. Why would you run away from your own card? So that was really funny. GG's. Okay, I go first. I really want to get this Rafine's Tower tapped and out of the way, but I'm scared that this is aggro. Screw it. We do have 2 really great tempo makers in our hand, and we'll have Syncopate as well. Okay, it looks like they're playing Naya? They might be the... they're the deck I think they are. This is going to be really rough. They're not the deck I think they are. We're going to let it land because we want to Fading Hope it for Scry to see if we hit a land. We do. Because we want to be able to Memory Deluge. Okay, so I thought it might be the Naya / whatever. What's the deck I'm thinking of? It's the one where you just like reanimate everything. We'll just Memory Deluge for a card advantage. We probably need to grab a land out of this. Yeah. We don't have that much removal, so I kind of want to grab some more. We already have 2 untapped black sources that are painless. Let's just grab another. It's gonna hurt a lot to cast spells, but it'll be okay. It might be a go wide deck, which is making Drag to the Bottom look just oh so sweet. I think they might just be like a... What? We're just gonna keep playing the tempo game. Thirst is good here. We're just gonna keep playing the tempo game. That was really confusing. We don't want them to have card draw, so we're just gonna syncopate their Bankbuster. Listen, if you didn't know what to expect, dear viewer, I warned you. This is what we're doing. We are bouncing, we are countering, and we are ruining my opponent's good old-fashioned fun times. Now we thirst. We drop the black land. Swamp. You want to just go for the kill now? You might think it was kind of like a quote-unquote waste to go so hard on like the bounce removal just to kill. All about tempo. It's all about trying to play out your opponent. And in this case, it's a bit of a mind game, right? Steel Seraph. They're playing around Make Disappears, I think. Which is a good idea. However, I'm not really, like... They are so losing me on what they're playing. Let's just go ahead and Memory Deluge. Hi! 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7... Grab another land. Make sure we have 8. I don't think they'll have stuff that can kill my Kraken, but we'll play around them tapping out. I really don't know what they're playing is the problem with, like, they've only played Kodama. But, like, if they don't play anything else, they're not gonna win. Alright, now we play Hullbreaker. Thanks for the free card. And now we have just like 1,000,001 cards available in our hand to just play around. And our opponent is on a 3-turn clock. Now all we're here to do is keep Hullbreaker alive, bounce any of their threats, and keep swinging with them. If they have a double spell for this, that's like fine. They don't, which is good for us. I'm just gonna let it fizzle. I'm sad I only have 6 open mana now. I think I might end up playing Sphinx on this next turn instead of Hullbreaker. We'll see what they play, though. We could play this out as, like, its cheap cost, right? Yeah. Which is fine. It doesn't bother me. Let's just play the Sphinx instead now. I think that's the right play. Are they really going to tap out for this? Let's bounce it to the bottom. The great part about Hullbreaker Horror is I can get my Sphinx back whenever I feel like it, really. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 open mana. I can Hullbreaker if they play a creature that I can kill. I think they're just trying to hold up removal for the Hullbreaker. Because I see it in my hand. I think that's a bit of a weird one, but it allows us to swing with our Sphinx, which gives us massive card advantage. It'll allow us to find a lot of our really cheap cantrips. They do have reach with Kodama, so they could chump. But if they do, I might just Memory Deluge and bounce the Kodama. They probably should have blocked to force me to do that. Because now, I get 2 of these cards. Doesn't matter which ones they give me, 2 of these cards is basically a death sentence for my opponent. 2 of any of these. If they give me the most expensive 2, those are the ones that dig deeper. If they give me the cheapest 2, those are the ones that are the easiest to cast. It's a really tough time to play into this deck if it's allowed to get off the ground. It is hard control. It is... You are not allowed to play the game anymore. I'm sorry, opponent. Except you're not apologizing. Maybe they just didn't know how that trigger worked, but thanks for all 3 cards. It's really kind of you. They just didn't know how it worked. Maybe they didn't know that they were supposed to separate into 2 piles. I don't think I've ever played against Sphinx myself, so I can honestly understand not knowing how to play into it or play around it. Cat, could you stop trying to attack my headphones? Okay. So now that gets bounced in as well. And now we are hunting for removal. And they can't touch my Phoenix my Sphinx? My Sphinx. My Sphinx. Because they only have 2 open mana, so they couldn't touch it for the rest of the turn. Only 2, keep in mind, you might deck yourself if you're not careful. There's a couple of, Ooh, good cards. There's a couple of cards that'll, like, return things from your graveyard to your hand. Like, you could run Devious Cover-Up. You could run... I forgot the name of the card. I used to run it all the time in my hardcore Dimir control decks back when Professor Onyx was in Standard. Back when, like it was that long ago. I think that was like 6 months ago at most, at the time of recording this video. So here's the thing. We make them full pay for this, because now we just play the Hullbreaker Horror, we Impulse, and we bounce it to hand, and they only have 1 open mana. But honestly, we could have just Hullbreakered after the... So, like, there's a couple of lines there, right? We could have Hullbreakered after the Depopulate. They would have had 3 open mana, and whatever they played I could have made disappear, because unless they were playing a 1-drop, it would have been made to disappear, and even so, I could use Make Disappear to trigger Hullbreaker to bounce something. This was the other line to guarantee Hullbreaker and Sphinx on board, make them pay out the cost for the Depopulate, because then they only have 1 open mana, and then just, like, lash in Hullbreaker and use another instant I have in order to bounce the Depop back to hand. There was a few lines there. There was a few ways I could have played that. I think that went really well, though. I think it's a great display of how this deck just, like, wears down opponents. GG's. Opponent goes first. We have 2 of our win cons in hand. We only have 3 lands, 1 bounce spell, 1 counter spell. I don't believe this is keepable. I think we gotta go again. Oh, boy. I think this is it. I think this is what we want, but I think we, unfortunately, for my heart and soul, we need to drop Hullbreaker Horror. Why do I say unfortunately? Because that means he goes to the bottom of the library? Probably mono white soldiers? My guess. Maybe just like no color artifacts? No, it's soldiers. Yeah, hold up Parasitic Grasp, hold up Infernal Grasp. Protection from multicolored doesn't really matter. And if they don't swing with anything, I think we just try and kill it with Infernal Grasp. Or don't play anything, I think we just try and go over Infernal Grasp. We see if they play any protection spells. They don't, they just play Resolute Reinforcements. Oh, we found our other Kraken. I think we will Parasitic Grasp the reinforcements here. If they have counter spells, it will shock me. But there are a couple of the soldiers decks that run counter spells, so it's not like that shocking. We're just trying to save ourselves a little bit of life right now, because against soldiers, life is the name of the game. This is really unfortunate. If I'd found that last land, I would have been able to Memory Deluge. That's why we run 26 lands in the deck, by the way. Either my opponent is very unlucky, or they're the most cautious Magic player of all time. Alright, I'm gonna go with most cautious Magic player of all time. We're just gonna kill this just so we stop taking 1 damage a turn. That might seem a little silly, but we'll eventually get enough cards that it won't matter. This is just so unfortunate. To be fair, it's also impossible to know if they have interaction because Mishra's Foundry holds up priority because they have 2 mana. They might just be the unluckiest Magic player. Neither one of us can buy a land. Holy cow. I think they're also being overly cautious. I think they have 2 drops and they're just afraid of them dying. Yeah, so I think they have 2 drops and they're just like afraid of them dying. Which is fair. Because they're gonna get counterspelled a bunch. Okay, bye. Bye, soldiers. Okay, opponent goes first. We have a great setup for a drag to the bottom and a cut down in Arona's Vortex. Great setup for drag to the bottom because Xander's Lounge on 1 means if we have X equals 3 already, so it's a -4/-4 on turn 1. We can't play it, obviously, until we get more mana, but I think this is keepable. I think it's a little sketchy, but I think it's keepable. Hello. Only doing that because they have a pain land. If they didn't have a pain land, I would have let it go. But because all they had for blue was a pain land, it was one of those like, well, might as well bounce it. They now have to hurt themselves again to play it again. They might be going, is it prowess? Which means drag to the bottom will be incredible. Here's the kicker. We need untapped black sources. Is it prowess? I was right. Well, about that untapped black source. Found it. It's not till next turn. It is prowess, though. I think that was the right move to bounce that, because if that had flipped and been swinging without me being able to kill it, it would have been rough. I could have played the tapped lounge and maybe killed it on this next turn, but they could have already flipped it, which makes it more annoying to deal with. The only problem with the Is It Prowess deck is that it does have lots of card draw. So while it is pretty easy to drag to the bottom, because they don't really get a ton of toughness on their opponent's turn, they do have a ton of card draw. Ooh, 3 damage. Scowy. This bit brought to you by me thinking it's funny to say words like that. Okay. So, I think the play is to just kill Balmor on my turn? With a hero's downfall, potentially? Never mind. Well, if that's what they're gonna do, I think we let them play out everything, because I think they'll want to start going really wide here soon. And if I think they start getting, like, too big for their britches, metaphorically speaking, I'll just kill off Balmor. Whether they're not playing blue magic makes me think that they have either a lot of blue in hand, or they're like really scared of what spells I have. Like, the whole point of this deck is that you want to go wide really fast. Maybe they're just like, they've played one bounce spell, I don't know what they're playing. That's probably my assumption. Yes, manually tap out your 2 red. I think we just dragged to the bottom here. They could play Spell Pierce. So let's go for this right now to see if they actually have Spell Pierce. They're probably going to play something. Yep, there it is. Knew it. Just go ahead and wipe out that board presence. They probably have another one. Not a huge deal, though. So the only reason you hold up blue there is because you have some form of counter magic. Alright, they don't have counter magic. Time to drag to the bottom again. Nice. That's always something to keep in mind when you're playing into decks that run blue, is that, like, you can really easily tell when they have counter magic and when they have protection spells by what mana color they leave open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't use both, which sucks. I think we just wait and see what they play here, and then just, like, try and play around it. Oh well, if they're gonna do that, I'm just gonna kill them. Like I said, it's one of those, like, they have 1 blue mana open, they tap it out, we can just say, oh, go in for the kill. So I think they'll have a way to kill Hullbreaker Horror. Probably not. It takes a lot to kill the horror. He's very, very hard to deal with for anything other. Okay, so they're going to go the burn me out route. I do have enough of a life total buffer because of how I played early, I think, to just not worry about it. They could have a ton of lightning strikes in that deck. But, we have a horror. How you doing, bud? They could maybe have a way to kill it, don't get me wrong. And if they do, more power to them, but that's going to tap out them and their whole hand. And then I just, like, refill. Oh, it's just a Fading Hope? Oh, I don't have to care about that, then. I'm amazed they run Fading Hope. I guess it's one of those, like, it'll, like, get them there faster. Let's just play Horror again. Why not? I think Fading Hope is one of those things where, like, if their opponent is running, like, Stompy Green, go wide. They just get there faster if they Fading Hope the big threats and just, like, go wide, swing everything, bounce important targets, pump their team more. Is it prowess is something to be afraid of for the most part. We just kind of have to hold here. They're not in white, so I don't have to worry about a Wandering Emperor exiling my guy. So I can just kind of swing and put him on a really fast clock. They're hurting themselves more than they're hurting me at this point. I think I've maybe done a handful of damage to them. They've hurt themselves like 8 times with that Shivan Reef. They hide out. Say hi to the Hullbreaker again, buddy. You gonna bounce him again? You have a third Fading Hope in that deck? I don't know why they used the Pain Land there. I feel like they could have used the non-Pain Land. Here's the thing, though. It doesn't matter if our Hullbreaker Horror gets to land and be a big threat right now. We are just, like, running them out of resources. All their protection spells, all their bounce spells. Like, we are making them really think about how to deal with something as big as a Horror. We're making them use, like, all their safety. And all we're doing each turn is slamming a Hullbreaker on it. They can't deal with it, as you can see. Like, that's the thing. This deck wanted to go hard and fast early. That's why we play so much removal. That's why we play so much board wiping. Are they finally gonna let me untap with... Oh my god, oh no! Oh, poor is it prowess. Poor is it prowess, man. I don't know if they can deal with 2 Hullbreakers. But yeah, like, they have to make a conscious decision right then and there of, well, I can't keep bouncing it. I'm out of resources. I lost my Otawara, I lost 2 Fading Hopes, I'm not drawing what I need because I'm spending all my mana on bouncing, not drawing and building a board presence, like... Welcome to Horror Town, baby! Population, me. What do you have to say about a second one? You have 2 bounce spells? Good game. Yeah. Yeah, poor is it prowess. There's not much you can do into hard control as is it prowess. If I didn't even have that much removal, but I knew how to use my removal. Hit the target that mattered, board wipe them. Board wipe them again, hit the target that mattered. They weren't allowed to keep swinging with their go wide strategy. I go first. We have Syncopate, we have Parasitic Grasp, we have Impulse. I like this a lot. I like it a lot because, while we don't have a turn 1 play, our turn 2 is very powerful. And it only gets better. Turn 2 is very powerful because if they play humans, we kill it. If they don't play anything, we Impulse and we get card selection. Including us. I think Scrutiny is the right choice here. Because there's really good odds we're going to draw enough lands in this deck. They're gonna try and play Fable, because they're Jund. Right? Fable? It's turn 3. This is where you play Fable of the Mirror Breaker. No? Alright, cool. Maybe they think I have a Make Disappear, not a Syncopate. Well, now I do have a Make Disappear, not a Syncopate, but... Interesting. It's a shame it's getting exiled. Alright. Now we can draw 3 with Silver Scrutiny, which is just really good. I wasn't expecting the Phoenixes. I am a Phoenix enjoyer, for those of you not in the know. I am an Arclight Phoenix. I hesitate to say connoisseur. I like Arclight Phoenix. Really glad I hit that Silver Scrutiny, though. Oh my god. That's rough. Hit 4 lanes in a row off it. Holy cow. Do I think Jund has a way to deal with a Hullbreaker? Do I think Jund has a way to deal with a Hullbreaker? Probably not. I think we let them play this, and then we see what happens. Alright, well, if they're not going to do anything, we're just going to bounce the little token. That makes me think they have some form of counter. I think we just wait until we can actually protect the horror before we play it. This will let us see what their actual game plan is, too, which is really nice. We saw the Phoenix. They're dropping a cut down. Okay. Rusty! Nice to see you, buddy. That sucks for them. Is he a human? He is a human. So I can hit him with Parasitic Grasp for 2. Which is nice. I think if they play anything out on their turn, we just slam Hullbreaker, and then we protect it via Parasitic Grasp and Make Disappear. And you might think that's kind of a weird sentence, but that's because we can bounce Hullbreaker back to hand using one or the other of those. I think they're just kind of like whiffing really hard on their win cons here. They look like they're a little bit of self-mill. If they're not going to play anything at all, it's kind of scary to play Hullbreaker. But I think we do it anyways. And we just see what happens. And if we get out 2 removal spells for this, that's really good for us, honestly. If we get out 2 removal spells for 1 Hullbreaker, that's so fine. Oh yeah, oh, Terra Sunder and Infernal Grasp? Oh, we're cooking. Oh, we are cooking. Alright, drag to the bottom. And Parasitic Grasp for cheap. Gain a little life, get a little control rolling. It sucks that we lost our boy. But it's not that big a deal. Sushi is a bit of a weird choice. But what do I know? What are you actually playing? What the fuck? Let's kill Sushi. They do get to do a bunch of cool stuff, but... Are they just a Titan deck? I guess they're just a Titan deck. That's not very exciting. That's just boring. Your game plan is to slam Titan of Industry? That's like your game plan being slamming Hullbreaker Horror. Titan of Industry! Wow! What do you play? Let's see. Oh, hi. Thanks for the Titan. Oh my god, that's so fucking funny. I can't. Oh man. Alright, well, our Titan. Shield counter. Destroy Fable. Do that. It's free mana. It's free real estate. I don't know if we're gonna win this matchup. Our opponent just has like a full grip, and we don't. Unfortunately, here's a downside. This does say to its owner's hand, so if Titan is gonna die, we gotta let it die. Because it's not our Titan, it's our opponent's Titan. Create 3 red devils, huh? Hello. I'm assuming that they're going to be like, aha, now I can kill the Titan. You're a bigger threat now. Now they can never swing their Titan. Okay, they probably can swing their Titan, but like... loses the shield counter. And then I get to Sphinx. My guy is only halfway through his deck, and we've hit 3 of his 4 Titans. Holy lucky bastard. Oh my god. That is so lucky. Holy cow. I don't think I can win this anymore. I think we're just done for. I think they just got 2 Titans. They just, unfortunately for me, played painfully well around Hullbreaker. There's just nothing I could do. Yeah, right. No, it's fine. I got this. I'll just do that. Yeah, draw go. Literally all I can do. I don't know why they didn't just swing. Like, they lose their shield counters on their Titan. At worst, they lost a shield counter on a Titan. Like, do you really think I'm gonna block that right now? Like, I have no reason to block that. I had 24 HP. HP? Health? Life? They call it life in Magic. I'm playing a lot of games lately. Forgive the brain. I think we just lose here. I think they just outvalued us. We never drew our card draw. Yeah, they're just a random jumped value pile that just, like, actually managed to get off the ground. Them being able to get rid of my Hullbreaker is the only thing that's kept them in this, and I'm very sad. If we draw another Hullbreaker, or we draw a way to, like, go through a bunch of cards in our deck really fast... I'm assuming they're about to play, like... Oh, never mind. Much easier to deal with than I thought. Okay, well, if one of their cards was a Hellpack Piper, that's not bad for me. Oh boy! This is probably game now. And there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. That's game. Man, I don't think I've ever lost so hard to a little Timmy deck. GG's, I guess. I just never drew what I needed. And they drew all of their big stuff. In case you're wondering what I mean by little Timmy deck, it's not an insult to the player. It's the idea of the deck is all around playing big stompy creatures that have multiple cool effects to them. And it's the type of thing you'd think, you know, that cute little Timmy kid from down the street. He's like, yeah, I play Magic the Gathering. I play Titan of Industry. I play a bunch of dragons. And it's not insulting to the person. It's just the style of deck. It's those big stompy type decks that have multiple big creatures that have lots of cool effects on them. I'm not saying the deck's bad. The deck's very good. It does what it sets out to do very well. They have a really solid like deck list here. Like Terra Sunders are great for helping with removal, as are Infernal Grasps and Fables, and they just outvalued me really, really hard because I couldn't use my Hullbreaker, and I only hit 1 Silver Scrutiny out of like 2 or 3, and I never saw my other cards that helped me draw. They just got the better end of the value trade. Jund has a lot of value in it. It's hard to beat. All right, well, hopefully you enjoyed all that gameplay. I went pretty well. I think that was like a 5-1, like 1-5, lost 1. That's pretty good. for just recording gameplay. Jund just outvalued me super hard in that last one. Oh boy. There is one other card that is not in the sideboard that I remembered while mid-gameplay that does work really well for the deck. And there's another one that also works really well. Witness the Future. Now, if you think you're going to be playing super long grindy games, and you think you want to just really dig deep into the hard control aspect of the deck, Witness the Future is a great card for that reason. For that play style. It allows you to just take 4 cards, put them in your library, and then you get 1 card. So it's essentially pull 3 cards out of your graveyard, and then you get to draw 1. For 3 mana, that's not terrible. If you're going to replace stuff out of the sideboard to include a couple of copies, I would probably drop Bloodvial Purveyor, because Graveyard Trespasser is really good for Graveyard Hate. And I'm sure everyone knows about it from the, like, blue-white decks that run it a lot for, like, essentially quote-unquote infinite cards, is Devious Cover-Up, because that'll allow you to grab 4 more cards from your graveyard and put it back in your library, allowing you to play these super long, super grindy games. If you want to remove stuff from the sideboard, I would drop Disdainful Strokes and Negates to include the Devious Cover-Ups, but those 2 cards are great inclusions in the deck if you think the games are going to be even more grindy, because it's slowly shifted into a more controlling meta in best of 3 and away from the mid-range aggro we're currently facing. Those are great cards to kind of slot in and include. Maybe you could just drop Syncopates for the Devious Cover-Ups. Maybe you could drop the Make Disappears for them. And then maybe drop Thirst for Discovery for something else. Who knows? The deck is pretty free-flowing. All I know is that I love it a lot, and I think it stands up really well in the current meta. Some of the, like, longer game decks, some of the Jund Value Train decks that go super late game and just want to play big stuff, some of the Artifact Value decks where they, like, repair and recharge back a one with a multiverse into a portal to Phyrexia, those can be pretty hard to deal with. But overall, I think the deck is strong. I think it holds up pretty well. I think it can win decently quickly as well. I think it can win as early as, like, turn 10, which for a control deck sounds pretty good to me. And you might think, what do you mean as early as turn 10? That sounds so late in the game. That's not a turn 4 kill. It's a control deck. Control decks winning quickly isn't the norm. It's okay. There should be a deck list down in the description. I think Aether Hub now has like a maybe board option, so I think I'll try and make sure I include Devious Cover-Up, and then I've already forgotten the other card name, I apologize, but the other card will both be on the maybe board as like things you could slot in if you want. But overall, I think this deck is great. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's a solid answer to a lot of the aggro and mid-range running around right now, and I think it outvalues them pretty well. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I hope to catch you in the next one.